Hello, I'm Richard Ellis here with columnist Bob Robb, and Governor Doug Ducey pulled a power play by vetoing the 22 bills that lawmakers had put on his desk, saying he won't sign any legislation until the budget gets passed. Bob, you suggest that lawmakers should respond with a power play of their own.
I do, and not so much a power play as ceasing to wilt when the governor exercises his constitutional authority without considering exercising their own, which is to override the vetoes. 13 of the 22 bills passed with a sufficient margin to overcome the veto. And I think it would be a good statement of the legislature's status as a co-equal branch of government to make when it returns from recess, its first order of business, overriding those vetoes. The governor has a point about the budget being sort of late in the day, given that the new fiscal year starts July 1. But vetoing unrelated legislation in order to compel the legislature to bend to your preferences on the budget is, in my judgment, a misuse of the veto. And it's time for the legislature to stand up for itself.
Do you think, given the different factions that would have to come together for this, do you think it's realistic that the legislature would attempt such a move?
Well, the custom has been, and not just in the Ducey era, for members of the governor's own political party not to participate in an override exercise. And I'm sure there would be that reluctance among some members of the Republican caucus. Whether the Democrats would go along rather than making this another, or at least an opportunity for them to get involved in the budget discussion, I don't know. But I think that there's a compelling case to be made that it's time for the legislature to stand up to this tactic. It's not the first time Ducey has used it. He's not the first governor to use it. And what happens in these situations frequently is that after a budget is finalized, there's a rush to adjournment, and some of these bills get lost along the way. The ones that have huge bipartisan consensus behind them shouldn't be left by the wayside.
You mentioned also that you're a fan of what the governor is proposing, the flat tax, but that such a radical move, such a big move in taxation so late, you kind of understand why the legislature is bristling a bit over this.
Yes, this is not, while I'm strongly in favor of it, it's not something to be negotiated in secret and thrust forward into the public arena, including for some members of the legislature, so late in the game, and offered as a take it or leave it proposition, and I'm going to veto all your bills. There's several things about this budget that deserve careful deliberation and full debate. And in addition to overriding the veto, I suggest that maybe what the legislature ought to do when it reconvenes is to pass a standby status quo budget so that state operations can continue after July 1. And give these big ideas and serious questions the kind of deliberative discussion and debate that they merit and that the legislative process is designed to yield.
Right, it takes that deadline pressure away so they can have maybe the discussions they should have started having in January. We'll see if lawmakers take up the hashtag Rob Override trend in the coming days.
Who knows? I might finally trend on social media.